Select the one word or phrase that needs to be used in place of the underlined text to make the sentence correct, or indicate that the underlined text is not in error. By 2025, it's expected that a combination of poor family planning in developing countries and lower mortality in the West will be contributing factors in the world's population reaching 8 billion, an increase of more than 5% as of today. Before looking at our choices, let's see if we can find an error in the underlined phrase. Our phrase, reaching 8 billion, an increase of more than 5%, uses a semicolon to separate between these two phrases. A semicolon is used when separating two independent clauses, that is, clauses that can grammatically stand on their own as full sentences. Each independent clause must have a subject and a predicate. The subject of the first clause is a combination of poor family planning in developing countries and lower mortality in the West, or, more simply, a combination. The predicate is will be contributing factors in the world's population reaching 8 billion. Looking at our second phrase, we could say that our subject is an increase of more than 5%, but we'd be hard-pressed to say that there's a predicate as we don't actually find a verb. This being the case, we can see that this is not an independent clause, and we can see that a semicolon isn't the appropriate punctuation to be used here. With this in mind, let's take a look at the alternatives our choices offer. B. A colon. Using a colon would be appropriate here, as a colon is used to introduce additional information that explains or expands on what precedes it. Here, an increase of more than 5% as of today clarifies the parameters of the world's population reaching 8 billion. It provides us with more information as to what this means logistically. Because this would be an appropriate way to punctuate this sentence, this is likely our answer, but we can take a look at the other choices just to be sure. C. No punctuation. As we can see that the second clause is adding on to the original independent clause, it needs to be set aside from the independent clause in some way. This being the case, we can mark this choice as incorrect. And D. A comma. A comma simply doesn't provide a strong enough pause between the independent clause and the added information. The final phrase in this sentence provides us with an explanation of exactly what the world's population reaching 8 billion means in terms we can understand, more than 5% than the current population. As colons are used to introduce clarifying information and not commas, we can mark this choice as incorrect and mark our original answer, choice B, as our final answer.